Washington makes a great one-handed snag in the Rose Bowl.
One of the few Washington highlights early in this game. This was a spectacular play. This was in the fourth quarter, pardon me, but this was a great play as Washington had just a backdoor cover to kill you if you had Ohio State -7. I mean, that's why gambling's just the worst.
You can tell who the degenerate on the set is.
Ohio State's just dominating that whole game. This silly back. Kawhi Leonard, great job. Don't care. I want to talk about this longer. How does that happen? How does that Ohio State -7 not win, Coach?
Kawhi put up 45 last night, and we're moving on.
Sorry, John.
Lastly, Giannis all over John Lure, sends him back to 2018.
Nick, I know you always give guys props for challenging at the rim, but that's one of those where you gotta know that you don't have a really high percentage chance to be able to stop Giannis from being able to send that one home.
Go Gadget Arms, my man Giannis. You know what Milwaukee did last night, like they've been doing all week? They've been covering. Good job, Milwaukee. Way to cover the spread.
More gambling?
Yeah.
What?
I'm just letting you know.
When aren't you gambling?
They were double-digit favorites for the third straight game. They covered once again. Thank you. Make up for that Ohio State debacle.
Moving on.
Set with Clay Travis. How we doing?
With Coach Mangini and Chris Canty to the New England Patriots. Not their best season, not their best Gronk, not their best Brady, still the 2 seed in the AFC. Is Brady showing signs of a decline at age 41? Maybe. But right now, Brady's in the driver's seat until he isn't anymore. And despite less than great stats, Pro Football Focus ranked him the 5th best quarterback in the NFL this season. All right, Coach, 5th best quarterback. Did everybody sort of give up on Brady a little too soon?
Well, who's giving up on him? Besides Nick, who's giving up on Tom Brady? And you look at what he's dealt with the whole season. They move on from their left tackle. They replace him with a guy that was a converted defensive lineman who's done a really great job.
You coached their left tackle, and you're shocked that he's a left tackle.
Look, he had a long way to go when I saw him, and he's done a great job for 1/30th of what Nate got in New York. So you do that, you lose your starting wide receiver. Gronk misses games. Edelman misses, the first 4 games. Danny Amendola goes to Miami. You've got all these things where Josh Gordon comes in and then he leaves, but nobody makes a big deal about it because Tom Brady is just going to handle whatever it is, as opposed to some quarterbacks who have had weapons the whole season long and they're a little bit more explosive or they seem more explosive. But if they had to deal with the issues that Tom's had to deal with in New England, they could never do that.
Listen, I've always thought the story of Tom Brady in New England is he's overcoming that awful organizational structure they have. I always think, man, he's always in there. I mean, he's got to deal, forget the fact that he's got to deal with the gauntlet of the AFC East. You got the Bills and the Jets and the Dolphins. I don't know how he can get through that.
Listen.
And now, I mean, obviously Bill Belichick has failed him for the 18th consecutive year. And the story of Brady is overcoming. What are we, has everyone gone crazy? Obviously Brady is the greatest quarterback ever, and he's still a very good quarterback. But there's no way to look at Brady this year compared to Brady last year, the league MVP, and not see significant deterioration. Even in that Jets game, you can't see him miss Chris Hogan in the middle of the end zone, open by 15 yards, could have drawn a circle around him, and see him sail the ball over his head and say, oh, Brady's entering a different phase of his career. Now, he's held off this phase longer than anyone we've ever seen. And it's one of the many reasons he's the greatest quarterback ever. But for Pro Football Focus, and I love those guys, to call him the 5th best quarterback in the league this year, that's laughable. I mean.
Wow, that's a little bit strong, don't you think? Okay. I mean, when you look at the quarterbacks that are rated ahead of him, you could make the argument that Tom Brady has had a higher degree of difficulty in terms of his team qualifying for the postseason and being the 2nd seed in the AFC when you consider his supporting cast. He doesn't have the supporting cast that Drew Brees has, that Philip Rivers has, or even Andrew Luck. He doesn't have that. So I think you have to factor in all the things that Coach is talking about in terms of Tom Brady offering them stability and being able to carry this team.
And I thought everyone was seeing this. A quarterback who's not as mobile in the pocket anymore. A quarterback who
what are you talking about? It's like saying we're seeing a snail that's not as fast.
When I said mobile in the pocket, I always thought one of Brady's biggest strengths was being able to step up in the pocket, navigate those 3 yards. Yeah, absolutely. But that's why I said mobility in the pocket, being able to step it away from a pass rush, never scrambling, not at all. I'm seeing a guy who a lot of times this year, same thing we saw from Peyton in his second to last year, where he sacks himself, where he sees the rush coming and says, I'm not going to be able to get away from this. I'm going down. We're seeing a guy who is not at the same place as he's been, and that's what you're supposed to be at this point in his career. It's not sacrilege to say it. It's not unfair to say it, and to say that, oh, it's not that he's 41. It's that it's everything else around him. It's that the Patriots knew they were going to lose those guys and thought they'd be fine. They thought they had a new left tackle in the draft. I understand that. They'd spent the first-round pick on their left tackle. I forget his name.
Isaiah Wynn out of Georgia.
And he didn't play for them this year. He got hurt preseason. I get that. And Josh Gordon, it's not like they were counting on Josh Gordon going into the year. They added Josh Gordon. It's
amazing that Josh Gordon comes in. He's productive, and then he leaves, and it's barely even a story. He's their leading receiver. He's had an impact. He leaves and it's like, oh, yeah, of course they're going to win the next game.
That's a testament to the team and the infrastructure.
Well, all I'm saying is this. He's got 29 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, a near 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That's up there with the best in the game. And so if he's been able to have that level of consistency and productivity, given the guys that have been his supporting cast this season, I don't know how you say that Tom Brady isn't the clear player in the NFL that means the most to his team.
Because just real quick, it's not up there with the best in the NFL this year. This year, Matt Ryan's 5-to-1. Russell Wilson's 5-to-1. Aaron Rodgers is 13-to-1. Mahomes is 4-to-1. Brees is 6-to-1.
Again, Nick, if you swap quarterbacks and you say that one of those guys has to go in New England with the same supporting cast, you can't definitively say that one of those guys is going to be better than what Tom Brady gave you this year.
Okay, all right.
You can't say that.
No, of course I can't definitively prove it. Nobody can prove a hypothetical. But I know anyone that has watched the football this year and thinks Brady's playing at the same level as Andrew Luck, at the same level of 4.Rivers. Forget Mahomes and Brees, who are 3 standard deviations above where Brady's played this year. Like, we'll see it in this postseason. We're just all watching different things then. I can't convince you. I just know what I've seen with my eyes. Last year, he was as good as he's ever been. This year's the worst year he's had in a decade. It's not just that Gronk got old and they lost Danny Amendola. It's not, they didn't have Julian Edelman all of last year, right? And he was pretty damn good.
Will you come back for another segment?
Yeah. And I'm going to put those rose-colored glasses on.
Right? I don't know.
Gotta take a break. Coming up, did Dwayne Haskins just make himself the #1 overall draft pick? Next on First Things First.